Hey, I wanted to do a quick video about how I got into doing dreads and sort of my history and background. I'm going to try to not shake the camera very much. I'm have a tripod at home, but I'm in the car going to pick my husband up. So I'm going to definitely age myself telling this story, but I got into dreads when I was about 18, and I say altogether I've been into them for 20 years because that's how old I am. So anyway, I had a friend at the time that was dating a Rastafarian guy. So she started letting her hair lock up with freeform, and that's what they did. And that was probably the first I'd ever seen dreads, but I was immediately interested in it. And I have always been a little bit, I don't want to say, I mean, I've been rebellious, more or less. But anyway, I've always been an artist, so it was just interesting to me. And so I had long hair. It was probably, like elbow length at the time. So I started just sort of letting it go, pretty much. Like, didn't brush, didn't do anything to it really. And it was kind of interesting at first because it would zigzag and it would make like it was still fairly long, but it would make these really cool patterns. And it was like fun for a while. And I crocheted a lot at the time. Well, that's when I got really into crocheting, and I was making those tam hats, like the Rasta tam hats. So since I was young, like, I was more, I guess, self-conscious, and like I cared what people thought, and I also didn't care, the weird mix of that. So I kept my hair covered a lot. Like, I'd wear those hats a lot, and I don't think I ever really showed my dreads really, but so about 8 months later, it took 8 months to actually form, like freeform, into where it sort of stopped, and it kind of got to a place where, they looked more like, thick. I mean, they shrunk up actually to about my chin, and I think that was another problem. Like, I didn't like the short hair. So, I mean, when I look back on it, there was no information back then. Like, I don't even think palm rolling was even talked about, but I do remember at one point I figured out palm rolling, and it did help the shape of them at least. So anyway, this is going to be a long video. I was not trying to make it long, but I ended up brushing that set out, and I did it the way somebody might naturally think to do it. You get the leave-in conditioner and a comb, and honestly, like, it was a mess. Like, I would never tell somebody to brush out wet dreads. Like, that's a whole nother topic of how to go about brushing them out. But back then, the internet was sort of new, and there wasn't very much information online, and there was definitely not pictures of people with dreads online. And if there was, I had probably seen all of them, because I like actively would search out pictures of people with dreads. And there was like maybe 2 sites back then that it was like Naughty Boy, and what was the other one? I can't think right now, but they would have pictures, and it was nothing like it is today, that's for sure. So I basically just did like a trial and error sort of experience. I think that I've had locks probably like 8 times altogether, but the first few times was not like what I wanted. So I think one time I used that twisting machine that makes the braids, and then I either let them grow a little bit or I did something, but I may have done twist and rip. I don't remember doing back combing back then, really. There was not a crochet hook ever talked about. No products. Like, I don't remember putting products on it. One time I bought with Dreadhead. That's what it was. Dreadhead. There's not like a lot of information back then, and definitely extensions were never talked about. So I've always just kind of always been drawn back to the hairstyle. And then when I discovered that you could do extensions like right away, like that was awesome. One set I did, I had 70 something locks, and they were real skinny and they were really pretty. But when I discovered that you can add extensions at the same time, like, that kind of became like a game changer as far as like having that instant look that you want. So I have always been into like different types of fiber art and fiber craft. So I had some wool, and I think I had just started seeing the wool dreads, and I figured out how to attach the wool to the end of the dreads, and then I got some human hair. I bought at Sally's, which I would not recommend. It was expensive and it wasn't worth it. But so I attached those to my hair. I wore those for a while. I had a lot of dreads. They were tiny, like probably 70-ish. The other time I had the ones that were so tiny, it was actually 108. That's what it was. They were very tiny. So, and you know, like the maintenance on a lot of dreads is to doing yourself is crazy. So I ended up combining a lot of them, and then I made them kind of all like, when they matured, they were kind of too big. And that was the last set that I'd had. I had put human hair extensions on them, and I liked that set, but I ended up brushing them out because just some things I was going through in my life. And I had only used Dr. Bronner soap at the time, and we had hard water where I lived. And I had brushed different dreads out in my past, like when I was first learning, and I would never even use like a special shampoo or anything. I would just use whatever they had, whatever was in there. And but this last set, you know, I was learning more about dreads and doing things the way I recommend people to do, and like doing deep cleans and stuff. And when I brushed those out, there was so much buildup from that Dr. Bronner's, like it was shocking. So anyway, I just wanted to give the history of how I've tried different methods. I've kind of started to, when there wasn't very much information out there, always drawn to the craft, learn my own technique and skill. Let's see, you know, started off with a single hook, and then they came out with a double hook, and also got faster over time. So like when I first started doing it for other people, I would charge like $20 an hour, and then I started getting so quick at it, I just gradually worked my way up, and now I charge $65 an hour. And I've just seen it grow, and like, you know, with the internet and all the groups and different things, like it's becoming, you know, pretty amazing, like popularity, and the fact that you can like braid stuff in your hair and do temporary, and you don't have to commit, and there's just so many options now. So and I've seen that there's like a need for it in different areas. I'm really excited to be teaching this now. I really feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing now. Please message me if you have any questions about what all the course will have in it. Thanks.